Uka was your typical quiet Nigerian village, small, peaceful, and tucked somewhere in the hills of the ancient F kingdom. People lived simple lives, farming, fetching water, eating roasted corn by the roadside, and minding each other's business way too much. The kind of village where if you sneezed too loud in your backyard, the palm wine tapper would hear about it in his sleep. But lately, Uka wasn't so peaceful anymore. For a few months now, young women were dying. Not just fainting or getting sick, dying, one after the other. Same pattern. No illness, no screaming, no witnesses, just found dead. And always with two weird puncture marks on their necks, like snake bites. Only no one had seen a single snake, not even a lizard looking suspicious. The village chief, Chief Obi, called the hunters, sent them deep into the bush to find this mystical serial snake. They came back sweaty, dirty, and snakeless, just hungry and annoyed. No progress. The women kept dying. Soon, the whole village went into panic mode. Mothers started telling their daughters, "If I catch you walking around after 6 p.m., you will meet me before the snake." Girls who used to stroll freely now moved in tight groups like sheep going to market. The air was tense. Even the village goats knew something was off. But one man in Uka, he didn't give a flying yam about any of it. His name? Chima. Now, listen. If Uka had a magazine called Village Vogue, Chima would have been on the cover every single month. Tall, muscular, smooth skin that looked like he drank palm kernel oil for breakfast. His eyes had that glint that said, "I know I'm fine, and you know I'm fine, so let's not waste time." Women practically melted when he smiled. And he smiled a lot. The guy could cause a mini power outage just by walking shirtless past the market square. And he knew it. Chima had the village girls wrapped around his very well sculpted finger, whether it was at the well, the farm, or the yam festival. The women giggled, flipped their hair, and tried not to faint when he winked. He dropped one smooth line: "You're more beautiful than a full moon over Uka." And they were done for. But what nobody knew was that behind that fine face and sweet tongue, Chima had a secret darker than charcoal left in rain. You see, Chima had a routine. It's always started with charm. He'd pick a girl, usually someone shy, innocent, or just hopelessly into him, and slowly draw her in. He took his time, talked to her at the well, helped her carry her basket, gave her compliments that sounded deep even though they were nonsense. Then, one night, he'd invite her to his hut. Now, Chima lived alone, in a small house right on the edge of the village, conveniently private, no nosy aunties walking by, perfect for what he had planned. The date would start out normal. He'd serve palm wine, make small talk, throw in another charming smile. The girl would relax, thinking she'd scored the village's most eligible bachelor. Everything felt dreamy, too dreamy. But when the moon was high and things got cozy, Chima always asked the same bizarre question: "Do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake?" At this point, most girls would laugh, thinking he was making some dirty joke. He wasn't, because right after that, Chima would whistle. A soft, strange tune, almost like a lullaby, but wrong. The air in the room would shift, cold, heavy, like something was watching, and then it happened. Out from Chima's trousers, a snake would slither out. Yes, a real live snake, long, dark, thick like a python, calm but terrifying. The girls froze. Their brains tried to process what they were seeing, but fear shut everything down. The snake would coil around them slowly, like it was playing. And then, before they could scream, it struck, bit them right on the neck. Two clean puncture marks. Venom did the rest. Within minutes, they were dead. And Chima, he just stood there, emotionless, like he was watching a light bulb burn out. By morning, the villagers would find the woman's body in the middle of the square, pale, lifeless, always the same bite marks. The people of Uka were horrified. They mourned, they prayed, they blamed spirits. One person even accused an evil wind from the next village, but nobody suspected Chima. Why? Because he was too damn fine. That's the sad part. The man looked like he was carved by the gods, so in people's minds, he had to be innocent. All he had to do was smile at the crowd during mourning, and the mothers would be saying, "Chai, may God bless you for comforting us." Meanwhile, their daughters were next. Chima just kept living his life, whistling, smiling, seducing, killing. The village women became more careful. Some refused to go out at all, but a few still fell into the trap, because desire is a dangerous thing. And Chima, he knew exactly how to use it. So, Uka remained peaceful on the surface. But at night, behind closed doors, something slithered, and the women of Uka, they kept dying. By the time the seventh body was found with those same bite marks, even Chief Obi stopped pretending everything was normal. The man tried his best to keep the village calm, holding long-winded meetings under the big mango tree, praying with the elders, even sacrificing a chicken or two. But everyone knew the truth. Something evil was picking off their daughters one by one, and it wasn't no regular snake. Then Adana showed up. She wasn't from Yucca. She came to visit her aunt who lived on the edge of the village. From the moment she stepped foot in town, people noticed. She was tall, graceful, skin like polished mahogany, and carried herself like she didn't give two figs about what anyone thought. The women whispered, the men stared, except Chima. Actually, scratch that. Chima noticed her hard, just pretended not to care at first. Now Chima was the village heartthrob, builder by trade, smooth talker by nature, and dead behind the eyes if you asked anyone who wasn't trying to hop into his bed. Every woman in Yucca had either flirted with him, dreamed about him, or outright chased him, and most had succeeded. But Adana, she didn't even blink. She didn't giggle, didn't toss her hair. She looked right through Chima like he was just another log in the firewood pile. That pissed him off in the weirdest way. Chima was used to winning. Women were easy for him. A wink, a smile, a compliment, and boom, hooked. But Adana? Nope. She was ice. And nothing makes a player crazier than someone who doesn't play. So Chima got obsessed, started watching her, following her, offering to help with baskets, chores, conversations she didn't ask for. And to her credit, Adana stayed polite. Not friendly, just polite. It was like swatting flies without lifting a finger. Chima kept trying. She kept dodging. One afternoon, he caught her at the well when no one was around. "Let me help you with that," he said, all smiles and muscles, pointing at the water pot. Adana looked at him, deadpan. "If you insist," she said. No smile, no sparkle. Just get it over with energy. But for Chima, that was a win. He carried her pot, flexing his muscles like a peacock, tossing out small talk like seeds at a wedding. She gave him short answers, didn't ask anything back. And yet, he told himself, she was just playing hard to get. In reality, she was watching. See, what no one knew, especially not Chima, was that Adana hadn't come to Yucca just to see her aunt. She came hunting. Her best friend Ankem had died mysteriously a few months earlier. Bite marks, pale skin, no answers, just like the deaths in Yucca. Nkem had mentioned she was seeing a man, tall, handsome, mysterious, never said his name. Now Ankem was in the ground and Adana wanted blood. She went to an oracle before coming to Yucca, told her everything. The oracle, half blind and fully spooky, told her this. The killer is a man, but not an ordinary one. He hides a snake inside him, a literal one, between his legs. It charms, it strikes, and it kills. Adana had stared. Excuse me, what? But the oracle was serious. You'll need this, she said, handing Adana a flute. Sacred. Snake's got ears for it. Play it right, and it'll listen to you instead of him. But be careful, he'll come for you. Make him believe you're falling for him, then strike. Back in Yucca, Adana played her role. Cool, detached, just enough interest to keep Chima guessing. And it worked. Chima went from aggressive to passive, changed his game, stopped chasing, gave her space. And just like clockwork, when the dog stops barking, the cat gets curious. So, one evening, she sat next to him as he sharpened tools. You've been quiet, she said, fishing. He shrugged, gave her one-word answers. Played hard to get. Classic reverse psychology. And, like a true narcissist, he thought it was working because he was such a genius. Eventually, he asked her for a walk. She agreed. Then, he invited her to his hut. She hesitated, but went. It was time. The hut was quiet, lamp flickering. Chima poured palm wine like a gentleman. They sat close. He leaned in, his voice like velvet dipped in snake oil. You know, Adana, you're not like the others, he whispered. Do you know the difference between a man's manhood and a snake? Before she could say, what the hell kind of pickup line is that? He whistled, and out of his pants, literally, slithered a snake. Not metaphorical, not dirty talk, a real thick, glistening killer snake. It moved toward her. Chima smiled like he'd won. But Adana didn't scream. She reached into her wrapper, pulled out the silver flute, and blew. One sharp, clean note. The snake froze, blew again. The snake turned, back at Chima. Chima's smile fell right off his face. Wait, how? The snake lunged, wrapped around his torso, tightened, fangs out. Adana stood calmly, watching. Say hi to Ankem, she said. One bite. Venom surged. Chima's body jerked, then went still. The snake slithered off into the shadows. By morning, Chima's body lay in the village square, pale, lifeless. The snake, dead next to him, head severed. Adana told the village everything, that Chima had used the snake inside him to seduce and kill women, that her friend had died the same way, that she had come to end it. The villagers were shocked, the women horrified, some cried, others stared in disbelief. They'd all thought Chima was just charming, a flirt, a catch. Turns out he was a full-blown supernatural predator. Adana walked out of that village with her head high, no longer a visitor, now a legend. The women of Yucca spoke her name like a prayer. Mothers told their daughters her story at bedtime, a warning and a reminder. And Chima? No one missed him. The only thing left of him was the moral. Don't trust a man just because he smiles pretty. Sometimes, what he's hiding in his pants really is a snake.